Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praise to the Most High. We're gonna get right into it today. What we're gonna go into is uh, we're gonna talk a little bit about the American political system, how it's all a farce, and how it's all a lie in order to keep you trapped in this system. When the Bible is teaching a system that's way better than this, the Most High trying to set up a brand new order, and that's why we read from the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and 18, every week, right? Because the Most High is going to set the saints in the place of authority, and they're going to take the kingdom, right? They're not going to vote their way into the kingdom, and they're not going to conform to the ways of this world. So we're going to go into that today. We also going to show you some things about Kamala Harris that you may or may not know. If you think it's a reach, let us know. Let's talk about it, right? But all praise to the Most High. With no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So, shalom to everybody in the building. Shalom to everybody in the building.
Shalom.
If I had an alternative title, I would name this lesson that we get ready to go into. I would name this The Lotus Flower and the Death of Masculinity. Right? And we're going to break down the symbolic nature of Kamala Harris. We're going to break down all the things that she represents. And we're going to break down her name. Because her name in itself, and the brother Boaz is going to pull a picture up here in a moment, but her name in itself gives us some clues into what she is there to represent. Right? So let's pull up that picture of Kamala Harris with her name on Wikipedia. We're going to show y'all real quick, just to get into it real fast, and that's going to lay the groundwork. Y'all put some sevens in the chat if y'all ready for this. You're not getting none of your basic information that you probably got on 1,000 other videos on this one. We're not going into, the basic scriptures on why you shouldn't vote. We're going to attack this from a whole different angle. And we're going to show you that even if you don't believe that you're not supposed to vote, we're going to show you without a shadow of a doubt from the mouth of the horse itself that demonstrates why your vote does not matter, right? We're going to show you that. Now, if you look right here, Kamala Harris, her name is, and people get mad. They say, no, it's Kamala. So, Kamala Devi Harris, right? Now, if you are watching this and you have access to your phone, go into your phone and Google Kamala Devi. And don't put Harris on there. And then put Hinduism. Right? I want you to Google Kamala Devi and then put Hinduism. And let's see if this is a reach. Right? We need those sevens to start rolling into the chat, y'all. Come on. Right? Hey, World Without End said, why that title? We're going to show you. Because our people are on a campaign to force you to vote, and they don't know who they're telling you to vote for. Right? They don't know who they're telling you to vote for, and that's what we're here to expose tonight. All right, so we can pull her picture down. Go ahead and pull up an article here to show y'all something, right? I'm going to change this. Boom. I'm going to steal the screen. There we go. Watch this. All right. So what y'all looking at here, let's scroll up to the top. This is a website, right? It's an Indian. They sell exotic Indian artifacts and things from overseas and things like that, and they import it to the United States and sell it to people, right? So this is something that you'll see inside like the Indian shops or something like that, the little smoke shops. Now watch this. We're gonna scroll down, and we're gonna look at Kamala Devi. Now, forgive me, when I took this screenshot, this little box popped up and it won't go away. So, but it's fine. We don't need that. Now, look at this. She is portrayed, and this is talking about Kamala, right? It says she is portrayed as auspicious and beautiful with a lovely golden complexion, right? She is seated in a lotus posture upon a lotus flower. She has 4 hands, 2 holding lotuses and 2 held in signs of granting blessings and giving assurance. Iconography of Kamala illustrates her being bathed in nectar by 2 and sometimes 4 large elephants. Kamala is represented in a similar manner to the very popular goddess Sri Lakshmi. as Kamala and Sri Lakshmi are considered to be the same goddess, right? In some traditions. Now watch this. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get right into it. Let's scroll. Okay. Now remember, they're the same goddess. Now, as we always explore, a lot of these deities and a lot of these principalities all over the world, they're the same people. The Egyptians worship the same goddesses that the Greeks worship, and the Greeks worship the same goddesses that the Romans worship. And what it is really a principality. It's really a spiritual thing that's behind the scenes, and humans are worshiping this spiritual thing, and now they're giving it different names, right? Now look at this. The image of Lakshmi is heavy in divine symbolism. She is typically depicted either sitting or standing on a lotus flower and holds 2 lotus flowers in 2 of her 4 hands. The lotus is a symbol of purity and self-realization and is throughout Hindu art. All right. So right off the bat, if we talking about worshiping or if we talking about voting for Kamala Harris, we're actually giving homage to and saying that we're lending our vote to somebody that was named after a Hindu god.
Ooh.
That's number one. That's the number one kicker, right? A lot of y'all don't know who you're voting for. Notice, this name is probably not an accident. If her parents, if somebody in her family comes from the Indian tradition, it is very possible that she was actually named that primarily because it is a god in their culture. Not on accident, not as if it's like, oh, I like this name. No, they probably specifically said, I want you to represent this goddess. So I'm going to name you after this goddess. And that's why her first and middle name are the same as this goddess. Right? And whenever you got something to say it. Right?
Oh man, I'm just holding this First Samuel.
Yeah, you good. Hey, look, that's beautiful because you know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, that's where you going.
Oh yeah, we definitely going there. Chapter 8.
God, that's exactly what I'm holding. Whenever you'll say, just let me know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. So look, let's look at this real quick. So the elephants are thought to be symbolic of fertility and royal authority. The significance of the lotus is twofold. First, the lotus symbolizes life, fertility, and the entire created order of the cosmos. Second, the lotus symbolizes spiritual purity, power, and authority. Now, who else is a better symbol of power and authority than the so-called president of the United States? Which is the office that she's running for. It says something earlier that she's usually symbolized with a golden complexion. It's too many connections to her actual self that are indistinguishable from this so-called goddess. But we're going to keep watching. Right? Look at it. Very interesting because we know what the Most High says in the scripture about worshiping the work of man's hands. Right? These people literally make these intricate devices and these instruments of worship, and then they put it into their house, and they think that brings them some type of spiritual favor. And y'all, on the same note, parallel to that, you are voting for this lady thinking that she's going to bring you some type of physical favor, some type of economic favor, when she told you out her mouth that she's not doing nothing for the Black community. But we're going to deal with that a little bit more later. Right? I had a little bit more, but we can keep rolling on this point. Right? Look at this. Methods of worshiping this goddess. Now it says less significant to Sri Lakshmi's following is her role as Kamala among the 10 Mahavadiyas. The 10 Mahavadiyas include an eclectic array of characters, ranging from fierce goddess like Kali and Tara, who are associated with images of severed head and corpses, to goddesses with more benign and desirable qualities, such as Kamala. Very interesting that they're saying this, because let's look at the political trajectory of what's going on in America, right? You had Donald Trump as the president. Donald Trump was known as a tyrannical type of personality. He had certain things. Black people so scared that they like, yo, you gotta go vote. This is the last time you gonna have a chance if you don't get him out of office, right? So you had him. Then now you got Sleepy Joe, right? So they're both more fierce characters. Like Kamala kind of gives you that warm energy. Joe Biden is kind of cold. He an old dude. He falling asleep and tripping up over his shoelaces. Donald Trump is inciting riots that break into the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Like both of these characters are exactly the opposite of what we see in Kamala. If I wasn't smarter than I am, I would think that somebody purposely set this up. I would think that somebody sat back. There's no way that her parents named her Kamala Devi and she grows up to embody the characteristics of this goddess on the earth. And it's many different things. As you read through this, it's many different things. Like, for instance, the president is known for juggling multiple things at once.
Whoa.
The president is known for juggling multiple things at once. Now, take a look at this image right here. You see here the image of the so-called goddess, and then she got 4 hands, right? In some instances, those 4 hands are doing different things as if to be juggling, because she's bringing prosperity and wealth, and she's bringing favor to the people who believe in her. That's what Kamala is about. That's what Obama was about. Didn't Obama say, we're going to bring change? What changed? What is the major constitutional change that changed for Black people in America after Obama left office or while he was in office? Right? So we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving. Now, another image that I want to get into is the lotus flower. Right? Watch this. I have this, and I want to read this real quick before I go to the next slide. It says, Kamala Devi is a significant figure in Hinduism, often associated with the goddess Lakshmi, who is the goddess of wealth, prosperity, and fortune. The name Kamala itself means lotus. Now, I want to bring something out. What's one of the, y'all put this in the chat. What's one of the alternate names of the president of the United States? What's one of the alternate names of the president of the United States? I want to see if y'all get this. Right? Once again, we can say these are reaches. We can say these are reaches. But I believe that when you have more than one coincidence in a row, it would be crazy to continue to call that a coincidence. Right? Okay, POTUS. The president of the United States is called the POTUS. Right? Now, of course, there's no similarity there between the POTUS and Lotus. But watch this. She's the lower POTUS. She's the vice president. Right? She's not the president, she's the lower president. She's the Lotus. Right? Now, if we want to just play with the words a little bit, but watch this, I'm gonna keep going. Kamala itself means lotus and is frequently used as an epithet for Lakshmi due to her depiction as sitting or standing on a lotus flower, symbolizing purity and beauty, which we read before. Right? Let me go to the next page. Let me show y'all this. Salakia. All right, watch this. Now we're going to get the meaning of the lotus flower. And I know this is a little bit small, Salakia. Y'all might have to go back and zoom in or whatever like that. Right here. The lotus flower symbolizes purity, overcoming adversity, and rebirth. Now, this is what I wanted to bring out right here. Rebirth. What's one of the main things Trump was yelling the whole time he was in office? Make America Great Again.
Mm-hmm.
He talking about the rebirth of the nation. Now, if we go and look at the first movie called Birth of a Nation, that movie was actually a propaganda film created by the KKK. Right? Birth of the Nation. Let me look it up real quick. It's a 1915 film, right? Originally called Klansman, but then they changed the name of it to Birth of a Nation. Originally called The Klansman in 1915. It was directed by a dude named D.W. Griffith, starring Lillian Gish. The screenplay is adapted from Thomas Dixon's 1905 novel and play, The Klansman. Griffith co-wrote the screenplay with Frank E. Woods and produced the film with Harry Aiken. Right? Y'all can go look that up. D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation. So Donald Trump is saying MAGA, make America great again. They're painting the picture as if these two characters are bumping heads or fighting against each other. But Kamala represents rebirth, which is the same thing that Donald Trump was trying to do anyway. He was trying to rebirth the nation. Right now, we're going to get into some scripture, but I had to bring these points out to show y'all the false dichotomy of American politics. Right? Now, let's look at this real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. What does it symbolize? Right? We already went over purity, overcoming adversity, and then rebirth. Now watch this. The lotus flower's ability to produce numerous flowers from the depths of water make it a symbol of rebirth. While each individual lotus bloom only lasts for a few days, the plant will continue to produce new flowers over time. As one flower fades, another one emerges. Basically saying that it's hard to kill. Basically saying that it's hard to kill. Right? Let me get this precept right here, King. Right? Give me the book of Revelation 13:3.
It's the book of Revelation chapter 13 and verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
Now, when we talk about the beast, we're talking about a governmental system. The Christian church tries to teach as if this is a single person. The Antichrist is what they call him, right? They call him the Antichrist. They don't understand that he represents Esau, and Esau is a nation of people governing the world, running the world, right? And we can see this through many prophecies and many precepts. But when we look at Revelation 13:3, it's saying that whoever this beast system is, it's going to seem as if they are in decline or as if they were damaged to the point of decline or of death. And then that wound will be healed and it will be reborn again out of the ashes. That's why they like the phoenix symbology so much. They like the phoenix symbology so much, and they like the lotus flower, right? In these mystical systems of thought. So when you look at it, that's what this represents. So when she's saying, when Donald Trump is saying, make America great again, he's saying that because it seems as if it's not as great as it once was. And she's saying, or she's not saying, but her name represents the lotus, and her idea is to rebirth something that once was prospering and growing and now is in a state of decay. Right? This is possibly and potentially the fulfillment of this prophecy, right? One of the fulfillments of this prophecy. Now, watch this. And then we're going to get into some scripture real quick. Let me just keep reading right here real quick. It says the lotus's symbolism of rebirth also relates to how it produces and sprouts seeds. Each year, lotus plants produce hundreds, if not thousands of seeds. Some of these seeds are eaten by wildlife and others fall into the water while they float on the surface or sink to the bottom. While some of these seeds germinate shortly after they're created, others sit dormant for years as the weather changes, the water around them drains, and time goes on. When the right conditions appear, whether that takes a few months or hundreds of years, the seeds germinate to produce a new lotus plant. What does that mean? That means that even though it seems that the seed line of this particular plant is dead and done with, it's never dead and done with. It's not dead and done with until it's dead and done with. Right? It can come seemingly out of nowhere. Now let's look at the nation of Esau real quick. Let's look at the nation of Esau. David had garrisons in Edom. It seemed as if he had them under his foot, right? Only for generations later, I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the next time we really see them sprout up is in the book of Esther, when we read about Haman, right? And he was an Agagite, a descendant of the king that Saul was supposed to kill so long ago, right? So it seemed as if their seed line had been destroyed, but in reality, their seeds had just hidden themselves and they germinated and they rose back to power. Maybe that's a reach. Y'all let me know in the comments. Maybe that's a reach. The children of Esau are the type of people that seem as if they are ready to be extinct. And then once they get to a certain place, they rise back and take back over. Mm-hmm. Right? Only the Most High is going to be able to kill them because they move the same way that this lotus flower moves.
Thanks.
Right? Now, I'm going to drop that point. And then we're gonna move into something else real quick. Right? And then we're going to read some scripture. So look at this. Another very interesting thing is that very prominent figures in so-called hip-hop community have thought that it was so important for us to vote that they use their propaganda powers on BET and MTV to influence our generation to vote. The generation that's young right now that's just turning 18 and they're able to vote and all that type of stuff, they don't know about this. But us, me, the brother Boaz, and brothers that's our age and around our age, we remember this, right? So it says, Citizen Change is a political service group founded in 2004 by who other than P. Diddy, right? Now, we've been talking about Diddy because Diddy is caught up in a scandal. And now it's widely believed, right? Even before the federal charges have been actually dropped on him, so he ain't been to trial yet, but it's widely believed that Diddy is an evil character, right? He's like a real life villain. And it seems to be that way. Well, guess what? He was one of the main people they was using to force you to vote.
Right.
So if y'all going back in time now and reevaluating everything Diddy did and everything Diddy did not do, and everybody that he came in contact with, y'all need to understand why he was behind this citizen change movement. Mm-hmm. Right? Watch this. Founded in 2004 and backed by Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, and 50 Cent. And the stated aim was to get young people and minorities to vote. Right? Look at this. Well, actually, before we do that, let me click on this real quick because it says something interesting that I want to point out. Very interesting. It says 2004 presidential election. P. Diddy said at the time that his mission was to make voting hot and sexy. I think I understand what he mean when he say that. But didn't it just say right before that the stated aim was to get young people to vote? The stated aim is to get young people and minorities to vote. And then he uses the word hot and sexy. And now he's being accused of pedophilia, amongst other things. Right. Interesting. Very interesting. Right. Now look. This is a picture of none other than Diddy, right, with the Vote or Die shirt on. And I know y'all remember these shirts. And I always thought it was strange. Like, why would you come up with a slogan called Vote or Die? Right? What are they trying to imply? It seemed like they was trying to say, yo, if you don't vote, then you're going to die because whatever these politicians want to do to you, they can do to you, and you can't stop it. But I don't think that's what that means, right? But we're gonna keep going. Sean Diddy Combs and Revolt TV are making sure that we all do our part this election with the relaunch of Vote or Die campaign for the 2020 presidential election. The campaign was originally launched in 2004 ahead of the presidential election between then candidates George Bush and John Kerry. The objective was to make voting appeal to youth minorities. The 2020 version aims to target the youth once again to ensure that they realize their voices are even more critical this time around. Notice also, every time is an election, that's always the most important election. You notice that? Yo, if y'all don't get out and vote this time, man, we may not have another time to vote. Y'all got to come out here and do this, man. This could be the end of your freedoms as you know it. They hit you with the same thing every 4 years. Right? Look at this. When you talk to youth in Gen Y and Gen Z, it's clear they feel the older generations have failed them in a lot of ways, whether it be our nation's current stance on police brutality, systemic racism, gun control, climate change, LGBTQ, and younger generations want change. Vote or Die is here to remind them that issues related to their survival will be determined by the people they put in office this season.
Slakia.
Go ahead.
I hear what that's saying, but at the same time, I'm like, with them before or even with us now, ain't nothing regarding voting made no difference for real.
No,
because the same stuff is still going on. And even with the young generation now, which is generation, I don't know which alphabet or whatever numerical type of figure they're using for this new generation, they don't even want to vote because they like, it's really not doing nothing for real. And it's just like, Slacky, I don't want. I hear that.
Good. You're good. Go ahead.
We really should not be voting because we'll make more of an impactful movement by standing and banding together and not following their system than we do following their system thinking that there's going to be results, and there's not. That's exactly what Einstein explained when he said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
That's right.
Right.
And you know, you're making a good point, because I'm going to go into the flaws of the American political system. And a lot of our people actually think we're in a democracy. That's one of the biggest misnomers, is that our people believe we're actually in a democracy. They believe that if I go put my name on this piece of paper, that somehow, now, two things they believe, two assumptions they're making. If I put my name on this paper, I believe that name going on that paper actually affects the person that I put the name for. It affects them getting into office. That's number one. And number two, they also believe that person they put in office is now going to keep the same ideals that they had when they campaigned. And neither one of those things have been proven to be true. Right? Excuse me. So, watch this. Let's get into some scripture a little bit, right? And then we're gonna come back. Let's look at what the Bible says about government and how we are supposed to be reacting to government and how we're supposed to interact with the government, right? Because you didn't see Hamashiach Yahushai going and protesting to Pilate, about anything. You didn't see that. That doesn't mean we don't have a place for protests. What that means is he had a different stance as it comes to politics, right? We're not saying never protest. We're saying the type of political action that you interact in and that you engage in, I should say, you need to be very, very thoughtful when you choose the type of political action that you're going to engage in, right? Let's say it like that. Kamala Harris, you don't need to be voting for somebody that's named after a demon, right? And that in many ways, in more ways than one, represents that demon, right? Now, watch this. Let me get Proverbs 29:2.
You made some people leave off of that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We gon' if they don't leave off of this one, then I don't know how to make them leave.
You said Proverbs 20?
29 and verse 2.
29 2. Okay. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
When's the last time that all black people got together and was like, you know what, man, we need to rejoice because this government is just really, you know what? We elected some good ones this time around. We need to rejoice. In the streets, we're going to rejoice. Call the pastors, call the civil rights leaders. Y'all can take a day off because the politicians that we got this time around, they really doing it for us. Give me the date, please. Right? Hey, what's funny is even after emancipation, we wasn't doing that. So y'all not gonna sit here and play like y'all finally found the politicians that had our best interests at heart, man. Right? But we constantly protesting. Even though now, watch this, Boaz. Even though now we have more voting rights than we did during the time of Frederick Douglass. We have more voting rights now. More of our people are registered to vote now than when Malcolm X was alive. More of our people are able to vote now than when Huey Newton was killed. But how come we having more protests? How come we still doing the same process over and over again? It's like the brother said, maybe we insane. Or I would put this to you. Maybe we choosing the wrong type of political action. Go ahead.
Slakia. What year was it? Matter of fact, can somebody post in the chat the year was it that they passed the Asian hate crime bill? Matter of fact, drop the year and put in what happened for them to pass to even present the Asian hate crime bill.
Right.
Because my next question is, where was the hate crime bill against us as a nation? Where that at? I guess it's somewhere in they offices collecting dust. You remember that show they used to come on? I think it might have been Saturday morning, and it'd be that dude. He looked like a piece of paper rolled up, and he sing the I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting on top Capitol Hill. That whole yo, that's our bill. He wasn't a song with Joy no more. He back there. He probably got a cigarette in his mouth. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That man back there rolling one up. Like
he coughing, he choking. He like he don't even know like if it's the cigarette destroying his lungs or if it's just the dust and spider buildup of webs. Man, because like what's going on? And then the Asian hate crime bill walked out in front of him and he was like, yo, what about me?
And you know what? That's what I want to talk about. Because the thing is, this is what's so cold about that, right? We've been kicking and screaming to get an anti-lynching bill. They finally passed, and let me Google this. They finally passed the Emmett Till lynching bill. Let me see. Emmett Till lynching bill. Lynching Act, right? So it says the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act is a United States federal law which defined lynching as a federal hate crime, increasing the maximum penalty to 30 years imprisonment for several hate crime offenses, right? Now, as we was going into with Javion McGee, that definition of lynching has to be clearly outlined. And because what they tried to do with Javion McGee was the people said that because the rope wasn't tied around his neck, there was no lynching. But there was in fact a rope, and he was dead, and his neck was broke. Right? But because it wasn't tied, it wasn't a lynching. Right? So these are the type of games that they play. So, and we're gonna get into how they can get around. But that's an excellent point that you make it, because the Asian hate crime bill came quick.
No, man.
They didn't have to protest for 50 years. When did Emmett Till die? They didn't have to protest for 60 years to get it. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Read that Proverbs 29:2 one more time.
All right. This book, Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Hey, the people mourn, right? And that's why we have to protest. And we're going to talk about mourning, because when you even look at the book of Esther, you see the children of Israel mourning and weeping, right? When the decree came out that they was going to be put to death. Right. So this is something that we do naturally. Like when we heard about George Floyd, when we heard about certain people who got killed, we was hurt. We was mad. Right. That jump messed me up when Javion McGee died. Now watch this. She said they had Waka. Now I don't know if y'all remember this video. I wish I had this video. But I don't know if y'all remember this. Way back in the day when everybody used to be watching 106 in Park. Waka Flocka came on there. And they was like, yo, man, what you think about voting? He was like, yeah, you could tell he was, you know what I'm saying? He was a little bit altered. He was on something. And he was like, yeah, man, you know, you got to get into that. You know, you got to do that, man. You know, you just got to get into it. They was looking at him like, get into what? What are you talking about? The brother didn't have nothing intelligent to say about voting, but what they do is they get people that you trust because you're a part of hip hop culture, even if they don't know nothing about voting, and they get them to speak about it for you. That's where the whole Diddy thing came from. That's where Vote or Die came from. That's why in the black community, they're using singers and actors and all these people to tell you to vote. Right? Because we are very impressionable. We are very easily influenced. All right, let's keep going. Let me get another precept.
Precept.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse 22. Just going off of the scripture in Proverbs, it says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. Until now. Like if there was like what I don't want to explain, you know what I'm saying? We like all our leaders and all of this kind of stuff is going on and everything is going right. We wouldn't be hearing about wars, rumors of wars, controversy, or anything that's stirring up between countries where it's like it's possible problems and things like that, or something that could come. You know what I mean? Because there would be some type of peace going on. But that goes to show you, like scripture said in Proverbs, that when the righteous are in rulership, the people rejoice.
That's right.
The people aren't rejoicing. You might have some sanctions or some people who may be rejoicing, like people who got money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might be rejoicing, but you still got the poor people mourning. You got homeless people at a rapid rate. I know it's bad in LA. Yeah. And in Ohio, I'm seeing more homeless people than usual. And I'm like, they making it like it's a fad.
Bro, it is crazy out here in North Carolina, bro.
Like, come on, man.
Even in you know how like you go to most cities, the big cities have poor people. Out here, all cities have poor people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And your government don't care. And primarily because this is a capitalist republic. Right? And we're gonna talk about that. That's my next point. We're gonna talk about that. Let me get Daniel 7:18. We read this all the time. But I think it's something that our people don't understand. If you're calling yourself the saints of the Most High, you're not gonna vote your way into the kingdom. Go ahead.
It's the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
And I would go so far as to say the people ain't gonna be voting. They're gonna do what we tell them to do, because we're gonna be ruling in righteousness, right? So when we look at what the Bible says about how the actual kingdom is going to be set up. Why do we come into their kingdom and try to live the way they live? Why do we come into their political ideologies? Listen, Native Americans and so-called Africans was not living the way that these Western Europeans was living. Right? Even the Eastern Europeans don't act like the Western Europeans. Right? The Eastern Europeans act like the Asians. So really what you got is you got a small pocket of Edomites in Western Europe, and they called them the West, and the people in America, and they called them collectively the West. And the way they think, they've changed the entire world through colonialism, right? And I've been doing a lot of research on revolutions and different political actions that have happened throughout the diaspora, right? So you got all of West Africa, you got Nigeria, Benin, Togo, all of these nations that were colonized by France, Portugal, and Britain, and some of them by Spain, right? All of these countries that were colonized, and by and large, all of them act like the West now. All of them act like European nations now. They have their political structures. They have their financial, although there's a bunch of corruption in Africa, a lot of the stuff that they do is just like European nations because they were colonized by them. And we were too. And one more point on that, right? Because we talk about political action. If you want to take real political action that the Bible is talking about taking the kingdom. And you get that by repenting, and you get that by coming together with your people, because the people have the power. That's how you get it. This is why in the Montgomery bus boycott, when most of our people couldn't read or vote, we still had the power to boycott their bus system and cripple their bus system, and they had to change the laws. We didn't have to vote to change the laws about segregation on a public bus. All we had to do was come together as the people and move in a way that inspired change. That was it. Even when you look at Persia, when Esther, right? Esther and Mordecai come up with their plan. They go to the king, and then the Israelites is like, yo, let's arm ourselves and we're gonna defend ourselves. It didn't come from voting, it came from solidarity amongst the people, right? So I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that. Right, let's keep rolling. Okay. Give me Revelation 5 and 8. Right, we're gonna show y'all, bro. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, this Bible is not sponsoring you going and thinking that these people who are your sworn enemies are going to just soften their heart one day and let you amongst their ranks. It's not happening.
Right.
Right, go ahead.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 5 and verse 8. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints.
Now, these are good beasts, right? These beasts are the ones that were before the throne. These are the spirits that are before the throne, right? So these are all good things that are described in that verse. Keep going.
Okay. And they sung a new song, saying, "Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof."
Now, question. If the Lamb is God, if the Lamb is the Most High God, why are you telling him that he's worthy to open the book? He already know that. The Lamb is somebody who is not God because he had to be made worthy to open the book. All right, go ahead.
Okay. And to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to Yahweh by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Watch this.
And has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
Now, this is what I want to point out. The governmental system that is described in the Bible is not a democracy. It's a theocracy. And under the theocracy is a monarchy. Now we gotta make this make sense. Theocracy is a nation that's ran by the principles of a religious system, right? So we're gonna run the entire earth based off the Torah, right? And we have devotion to our God, and we follow our God in order to execute righteousness in the earth. That's a theocracy. And then under the theocracy is our monarchy. So now we're gonna have the king, the Davidic king, the Messiah, and he's gonna be the king.
Right.
And we're going to be little kings under him. Right? So this whole idea of presidents and prime ministers and voting and all that stuff, that's foreign to the Bible. That's not our political system. That's theirs. Let them have what they have, and let's keep what we have. Why do you feel the need to go out and vote when you got a king already? Which brings me to my next point. Right? You know where I'm going, Boaz. Let's get that 1 Samuel chapter 8.
Con, this is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba, and his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment.
Now, this is a very important part of the story. Very important part of the story, because we often read past this and say, oh, Samuel's sons were just evil. But why were they evil? The type of things that they were concerned with was not the growth of the kingdom. It was not the prosperity of the people, and it was not the projection of righteousness. It was, yo, I gotta get a little bit more money, right? The filthy lucre. They was taking bribes, so they was changing judgments, right? And they perverted judgment. So, but these are all the things that the Bible then says, if you end up not serving the Most High, your leaders are gonna do all these things to you. Right, so that's a very important detail of the story, but keep going.
Then all the kings of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them.
Hey, you see that, man? And that's a sad story right there. Even though we got some great kings out of it, it's a sad story because our people ultimately wanted the political system of the other nations. And now here y'all are, 3,000 years, 4,000 years later, however long it is, and you want the same political systems as the West. Right? Now, let's get into it. What type of political system do we have here in America?
Dang.
What you got?
Any more of this?
Oh, yeah. If you want to, yeah, let's keep going. We can get some more.
I ain't gonna lie, because this is fire. I mean, I do want to go into what you're going into, though.
Yeah, no, please. Go ahead. Let's keep going.
I at least want to read to 18, but I want to break after. We could break after once I finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Samuel, verse 8. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and shew them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. Like, I want to read this up to 18 because I'm like, that's where it starts to get interesting.
Correct.
Because Samuel starts to he's trying to tell them like, this is what's going to come. If this is what you want, then this is going to come. And you got to hear how Israel responds, man, because that's the way we is now. Even some of us that's in the truth who like, I ain't going to vote or whatever. Like, I ain't going to do no voting. But you already made your mind. You set up in your mind. Like I even set up in my mind. I was like, if I was to choose anybody, if I was to vote, I'd rather it be somebody who I'm like, he gonna stab me in the face than stab me in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, in my own mental, I'm like, I made that choice in my mind without even going and doing it. It's like I did it mentally for real. And it's like, I don't even need to be thinking like that for real.
Or you be thinking about the benefits.
Not
like, yo,
benefits.
If this brother over here come, man, you know, I ain't gonna vote for him, but I hope he win because he cutting taxes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, but man. Yeah, man. And I hear it today. Yo.
Yeah.
Even though in Israel, you ain't posted on social media because you know brothers is gonna be lighting up your comment board with scriptures. Let's keep it real.
Oh yeah. They be thinking that stuff. Oh man, this dude right here say he giving a stimulus check, boy. He about to get my vote.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I might sneak up there and vote.
You feel me? Like, come on, man. No, we'll go ahead that one.
All right, you want me to go ahead, or you want to keep reading on that, or you want to move to the next point?
I could read fast through this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of. Verse 10, it says, and Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people, and they asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. If this don't sound like the working field, the working class, what we got going on today, I don't know what.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the 10th of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he shall take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the 10th of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day.
Only thing I could think of that whole time he was reading is misallocation of resources.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna take your resources and he gonna do what he want to with it.
I mean, I can't remember what that one. The guy. I don't know if it was you or Judah posting, but he kind of teach like a prosperity kind of doctrine thing with his basically how to elevate yourself.
Yeah,
it's Jake. I forgot what his name is,
mm-hmm.
But he was explaining that like how we're working today, we're using more physical labor of our bodies, and where we're not maximizing what we could really be potentially gaining of ourselves because of the work style, the way the world is set up. Like we're not working to use our minds for real, to be able to work smarter. we are using our physical bodies to
Yep.
work harder and not be smart, which goes back to the Willie Lynch letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You be big and brawny and strong as hell, but then you be dumb.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And they want you to be like that because ultimately they're grooming you, even in the education system, they're grooming you to be a workhorse.
Kind.
You know, it's funny that you even said that because I was gonna post on Facebook today, and I don't even know why I didn't post it, but I was gonna post on Facebook today. I was gonna say you should position yourself in jobs that allow you to do the things that you like doing while you're at your job. Because what happens is you go to work, right? And you killing yourself at work all day. Then you get home and you're too tired to do the stuff you wanted to do. But if you position yourself to be in a job where you know you like doing what you're doing, but you also have just enough time to do the stuff you like to do too. You know what I'm saying? You getting the best of both worlds. Like you getting paid to do what you like to do. Hey, that's how you position yourself. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Kind.
That's a good point. I'm gonna share something real quick because I want to ask the people. Y'all ain't went to sleep on us yet, right?
Hey, drop a 7 in the chat. Y'all still awake?
Yeah, drop a 7 and watch this. Because I want to ask y'all this. What type of government do we have here in the United States? What type of government? And I'm going to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt. Like I said, share this video to whoever you want to. This video is going to be 100% proof and reasoning behind why we don't believe that voting works. After this video, you will have your answer. Right? Now, these things that I put together in this video are things that stop me from voting because I studied political science. When I was in my bachelor's degree, my major was professional studies with an emphasis in government. So they made me take a bunch of political science and things like that. And then I had a minor in Christian ministry, right? But watch this. Let's see what y'all said in the chat. Where y'all at? Okay, cool. Brother Yaquan, see, brother quick. All right, he said a republic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to show you why that matters. I'm about to show you why that matters. Let's pull this up real quick. Right? Now, democracy or republic? What's the difference? Right? Is the United States a democracy or a republic? This is one of those either or questions that seems like it should have a straightforward answer. After all, two such different words must have two different definitions, right? Now, where am I reading from? I'm reading from Merriam-Webster, okay? This is a PDF off of Merriam-Webster. The short answer is that democracy and republic are frequently used to mean the same thing. Not true, but we're going to talk about it. A government in which the people vote for the leaders. This was the important distinction at the time of the founding of the United States, which I'm going to read from Federalist number 10, Federalist paper number 10 from James Madison, and number 22 from Alexander Hamilton. We're going to show you something, right? Y'all got to have this in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
This was the important distinction at the time of the founding of the United States, in direct contrast with the rule of a king, a monarchy, which we read about in the Bible, or in Great Britain. In part because the context was clear to everyone involved in the American Revolution, these terms were used interchangeably in the late 1700s. Both democracy and republic meant that power to govern was held by the people rather than by a monarch. Now, they said all that to try to make the case that they're both the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, watch this. These terms are not mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, a document that nevertheless expresses clearly government should be established, deriving its power from the consent of the governed, meaning that the government is only as strong as the people that it is ruling. This reads like a definition of both democracy and republic. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between a democracy and a republic real quick, and then we're going to get into this next slide. A republic is a government that is ran by elected officials. That's what we have here in the United States. That's what ancient Rome had. They had elected officials, and those elected officials make all the decisions. A democracy is where everybody's vote counts. Now, what they've done is they've changed the name of the American political system, and I wrote it down. It's not a democracy, it's a representative democracy, meaning that the people who are elected into office have the power to vote, and they actually became the people who have the power. Now, why does all this make sense? Right? Why does all this make sense? Let's read this. It says, what was the purpose of Federalist Paper number 10, written by James Madison? This Federalist 10 defended the form of Republican government proposed by the Constitution. Notice, and I don't know if you know where I'm reading from, but this is the Bill of Rights Institute, right? So this isn't just any old website, Wikipedia article. This is the Bill of Rights Institute. Notice what Merriam-Webster said. Merriam-Webster says that democracy and republic are the same thing. I wonder why they would go out of their way to tell you that, when the Bill of Rights Institute isn't even saying that. They're saying that the Republican form of government, a republic, is the type of government that the United States was created to be based on the Constitution. Right? So, written by James Madison, this Federalist 10 defended the form of Republican government proposed by the Constitution. Critics of the Constitution argued that the proposed federal government was too large and would be unresponsive to the people. So, why does that make sense? They're saying, if we create a government of the United States, and this government is going to be in control of all 13 colonies, there's no way that large government can take into consideration all the thoughts and all the opinions and all the political aspirations of every person in the nation. There's no way. So what they did was they said, okay, let's divide the government up into 3 branches, and let's divide the Congress up into hundreds of people that can now represent smaller portions of the people. Now, this is what we're trying to tell y'all, so-called Black people, so-called Native American people, right? And Hispanic people. We can leave y'all out of this conversation for now, but y'all are included as well. When the Constitution was framed, y'all was never in mind. The Native Americans were actively being destroyed while the Constitution was being framed. Black people, y'all was slaves while this was being framed. And Hispanic people, y'all was being destroyed in your country, not under the federal government, but in your country while this was being penned. So none of this pertained to none of us. None of those 3 groups. This Constitution, this political system never had nothing to do with you. So the system was built. The system was created, and all the apparatuses were put in place, and the representatives were put in place to represent the people. And then 115 years later, right, or 90 years later, whatever it was, after the Constitution was signed, then Black people was emancipated from slavery, right? Native Americans were slowly being integrated and being called the civilized tribes. And that process never once incorporated your thoughts, your opinions, and how you thought this nation should be ran. It was too late because the foundation was already set. Right? Now watch this, because we got to make some points. And he's going into some stuff that we're going to talk about. Going into some stuff that we're going to talk about. So let's see what we got here. They say it's a democracy, but it's really a republic. The people have full power in a democracy versus in a republic, your elected officials have power, right? That's what we just said. He said, can you blow up the page? My fault, King. I ain't even see this till late, but I'll blow it up from here on out. The Electoral College, right? Now, I'm gonna bring this up real quick, and then we're gonna show you something. Let me read a couple of quotes from James Madison. This is from Federalist Paper number 10. And actually, I'm gonna read what's on the screen first. It says, in response, Madison explored majority rule versus minority rights in this essay. Now, when they said minority rights, was they talking about black people? Was they talking about Native American people? So that means that when they framed the Constitution itself, you were not even considered. He countered that it was exactly the great number of factions and diversity that would avoid tyranny. Groups would be forced to negotiate and compromise among themselves, arriving at solutions that would best respect the rights of minorities. Further, he argued that the large size of the country would actually make it more difficult for factions to gain control over others. All right. I'm bringing this to a point, y'all, so y'all walk with us. So James Madison and Alexander Hamilton both argued in the Federalist Papers that this government should be a Republican government, right? This is a quote from James Madison. It says, the effect of the first difference is that it will be more difficult for unworthy candidates to practice with success the vicious arts by which elections are too often carried. Let me make that make sense. He basically saying it would be unbeneficial for us to allow unworthy candidates to have power in our government. Now, let's use an example that we can think of. In the camp, there's a handful of brothers that vote and they make the decisions, right? And with those brothers who vote and make decisions, amongst us, it could be sharp contention. You know, this brother got this precept, this brother got that precept, and then we have to reason to figure out what's the best way to do something. That may take a long time. Well, imagine the federal government having that same type of argument when they're creating the Constitution. So one of the things that they said was, we never want power to fall into the wrong hands. So power has to remain with the chosen few. Therefore, they created the republic to let the people think that they have power, but the republic is set up so that only the worthy candidates can have power. Y'all put bombs in the chat. Y'all put bombs in the chat. And I want to know if you believe, hey, that's right. It says who were considered minorities back then. The minorities was Irish people. And because remember, they didn't consider all themselves white. They still considered themselves immigrants from the countries they came from. So you had Dutch, you had, you know what I'm saying, Anglicans. Some people separated themselves based off of religious affiliation, and some people separated themselves based off of national heritage. So you had French immigrants, you had German immigrant, you had Italian people, you had Jewish people. All these people are in this big melting pot, and they separating themselves, and the smaller groups were called the minorities. Black people was never considered. Native Americans was never considered, right? So let's keep going. These are some things that you got to know. Let's see what Alexander Hamilton said. He said the fundamental maxim of Republican government is that the people are the fount of all power and that they have a right to select their own rulers. Now, when he said that, he was saying that the people are the ones with the power and they select the rulers. But notice that he calls them rulers. And then those rulers actually carry out the power. Right? Now, let's get into it. Actually, I'm not even going to get this one. I'm not going to get this one. If y'all want to read a good book on breaking down how the American political system is all smoke and mirrors, read this book. It's called Empire of Illusion, Summary and Review by, it's called Empire of Illusion by Chris Hedges. I downloaded the summary to get quick points, really quick points, right? And we'll go over these later. I'm going to give you 3 reasons real quick that you can write down if you want to explain to somebody why you don't vote. The Electoral College is definitely one of them, right? And then, so watch this. It says voting is not designed to change the system. So think about this. The Constitution was created and you were not in mind. Native Americans were not in mind. Mexicans were not in mind. Voting was never created so that you can change the Constitution. include yourself in the Constitution. Voting was never created for that. Voting was created to operate inside of the Constitution. That's why voting will never bring you true change. Voting will never tear down this tyrannical, evil system that these Edomites done set up. Voting is only operating inside the system. It's not designed to change the system. And if you go throughout history, you look at the Haitian Revolution, the Nigerian Revolution, the Ghanaian War of Independence. If you look at all of these revolutionary wars that were fought throughout the diaspora by these mighty people who fought against colonial power, they never voted their way out of colonial power. They had to fight. You have a couple of instances where they used a form of political pressure to get the colonial rulers out of place, right? Like what you see in South Africa, right? Because the first election elected Nelson Mandela, and then through that, they started to slowly take power back. But even now, if you look at South Africa is like a British country, basically, right? It's a bunch of white people living down there. They richer than all the black people. You know what I'm saying? My mom went there recently. It's a lot of stuff that's still shaped by apartheid. So even though South Africans want independence, they're still shaped by apartheid because they never got a true change. The only thing they did was change the people in political power. They never changed the system. So what we're trying to tell you is that true revolution does not come from voting for these people that they put in your face. Those people are just there to make it seem like you're getting something. But the true system never changes. Right? So that's number one. The second point is most of the constitutional, and I said this earlier, most of the constitutional changes that we celebrate today during Black History Month, not even most of them, all of them happened in the 60s, from the 60s to the 80s. Every single major constitutional change happened during the time when a lot of our people wasn't even voting anyway. Right? And then finally, we don't have political influence. We don't have political influence. And that brings me to this source that I got on the screen, right? So Empire of Illusion, Chris Hedges, look what he says right here. This is key point number 8 in his book. Corporate reign is unbridled and is a serious threat to the country. Now, this is a white man writing this. He said corporations are unmistakable and omnipresent facet of society. In fact, there are few aspects of our lives that they aren't somehow involved in, including countless public services. The problem with this is that for-profit companies are independent entities and are accountable to the country and are not accountable to the country or its workers. It says corporations externalize all costs that governments will let them outsource. What does that mean? Corporations are getting rich here in America, but then they're sending jobs overseas. So they're getting your money, but they're making your stuff overseas. So they're taking jobs away from you, but they're getting your money, right? This goes for everything from manufacturing to finance to engineering, tasks that are increasingly being outsourced to low-wage workers in Southeast Asia. A bunch of them are also going to Mexico, right? For their part, American workers are not organized enough to respond. After all, only 8% of private sector workers in the United States are unionized. Now, that brings me to another point. He's saying, ultimately, to sum this all up, you can go back and read it. To sum this all up, the people do not have the political power or the money at their disposal to fight against corporations. Corporations like Facebook and Walmart, they are lobbying in Washington, D.C., and they have millions of dollars to throw at politicians to make sure that their policies get passed.
Billions.
Yeah, exactly. Billions of dollars to throw at these politicians. You have nothing. So it's very easy for you to say, hey, I'm gonna vote for this, and then my political person that I voted for, my representative, is going to now carry out what I wanted him to carry out. There is nothing in the Constitution There is no law. There is nothing in American government that forces the person you voted for to do what they said they was going to do. Not one law. So that means when you voted for Obama and he told you he believed in traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and then 2 years, 3 years later, he flipped that and became the gay president and painted the White House rainbow colors, guess what? You couldn't do nothing about it. Only thing you could do is shake your head, because he don't have to be bound to what he told you he was going to do.
Right.
And that's dangerous. And if these politicians and these corporations have all this money to throw at each other and say, yo, you do what I need you to do, I do what you need me to do, guess what? There is no power for the people.
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
This brings me this. Wow. That just brought me to the Black Lives Matter movement.
There we go. Okay, let's talk about it.
And the money that they collected.
Let's talk about it.
That did not go back to the community that was getting hurt and being traumatized, as it has been throughout the years.
Correct.
It went to the community of the alphabet people who bought their houses or did whatever, or even put themselves in position where they might have stepped themselves into the political fields and things like that, where it's like the stuff you see on TV is pushing more as far as being coming out to your truth, as they say, right? Waking up to your truth, right? Promoting it to your children in schools, in their shows, in your Coco Melon show that you stick your child in front of to watch all day long. Now they over here before they even 10 years old, they thinking about, as far as, you know what I'm saying, what
sexual
gender
activity.
Or their what is it called, the binary, the pronouns, all that crazy nonsense, like and then in your political system, where as far as politics go, you know what I'm saying, it's like we gonna make up all these rights. Matter of fact, oh man, this is getting crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's like flashes in my mind. You know how they, like, before you die, your life flashes before your eyes? It's like, and you know what I'm saying? I know that ain't happening, but it's like the time is flashing before my eyes, as far as like all of this stuff going on. And it's happening fast, for real. When we look at it, like COVID was when? 2018? We in 2024 now. Like, you literally blink twice and it's like 2024.
Yeah,
and what
5 years gone.
You get the Asian hate crime bill. You get the BLM movement that wasn't for us. You know what I'm saying? That didn't get touched on the way it should have. You know what I'm saying? There was people who talked about it. I can't remember what that woman's name is. But I know she talked about it.
Yeah, Candace Owens be going in on it all the time. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But as far as it being like something serious, like is any convictions? Anybody go to jail? You know what I'm saying? Any of that happen? Because
that's the thing. Whoever said that these groups that you support and that you help prop up and that you put in front of the media day in and day out, whoever said they got to do what they said they're gonna do. That's where we keep stumbling. And then, like, if we start these movements ourselves and we make sure that the people who care about the people is running these movements like it was in the 70s, right? We got to get that revolutionary spirit back. I ain't gonna go too far into that, but yeah, we got to get that spirit back, bro.
Okay. Somebody gotta Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther, Malcolm X this thing.
Yeah, straight up. Now I'm gonna say something that I learned earlier this week. So I've been watching Black Power videos. I've been watching the Black Power mixtape. You know what I'm saying? Just going through it. And I'm gonna get into this lobbying point too. Because I want to solidify that your vote is very, very insignificant. But we're gonna solidify that, right? If we haven't already. But Martin Luther King is easily the most recognizable and the most popular civil rights leader of all time in American politics. Easy. I don't even think there's nobody close as far as recognizable characters that everybody knows who he is. Martin Luther King.
Mm.
Martin Luther King was a great mobilizer. Mobilization means that I can put boots on the ground and we can show up and we gonna make some noise. And he will get things, he will change things in government. He can get acts and bills passed, and he can get laws changed because of understanding how to mobilize the people. He is not a good organizer. Now, let's talk about organization. Salaki. Huey Newton and Malcolm X are great organizers. They're also great mobilizers, but they're great organizers. Martin Luther King would show up with 1 million people at the Lincoln Memorial, and they would make a bunch of noise, and we get a bunch of pictures, and we get a nice speech out of it. But guess what? What organization was created that still exists today? See, this is the stuff we're going to be thinking about. What organization did the most popular civil rights leader of all time, what organization did he create that still exists and still carries out his mission today? You don't know the name of it. What did Malcolm X help establish? What organization did Malcolm X help establish? And is that still here today? Oh, yes, it is. The Nation of Islam. Oh, yes, it is. Right? We're talking about the difference between mobilization and organization. What system did Huey Newton and Bobby Seale set up in Oakland, California? They set up the Black Panther movement. Is that still around today? Oh, yes, it is. Although it's a shell of the original Black Panthers, right? You have the new Black Panthers that's kind of like an offspring, but you get the point. The organization is potentially still around today. Right. What we should be in the business of doing is creating organizations the same way that America created the Constitution and created the Organization of America. And no matter if George Washington died, John Adams died, all the way down to Joe Biden, all of them can die. The system will never go nowhere until somebody destroys it. Because they organized it, and they are excellent organizers. This is the difference between your electoral, your local government politics, and revolution. We need to be looking at revolution. And you're not going to get revolution without organization. I got one more point to make, and I'm gonna make this point clean. We're gonna say a couple of things, and we're gonna let y'all go. So watch this. Biggest, and you can search this if you want to, Boaz. You can search this. The largest lobbying organizations in American politics, right? Largest lobbying organizations in American politics. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I'm going to tell you this. None of the top 10 got Black people in mind. None of the top 10 got Black people in mind. None of the top 10 are helping Black people and Black communities primarily. None of them. In fact, quite the opposite. Watch this. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, number 1. The National Association of Realtors, number 2. with $31 million a year. Pharmaceutical research, Pfizer, all them boys. American Hospital Association, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Facebook, right? We can keep going. Let's jump down a little bit. Amazon's on the list.
Yep.
Let's keep going a little bit. American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, General Motors.
Mm-hmm.
These are corporations that throw millions of dollars at politicians every year to change their mind. And you thought that you was going to vote and they was going to do what you wanted them to do? What the hell is wrong with you, man? Somebody show up to your house right now with a $38 million check. You going to do what Boaz told you to do because he was standing outside voting for you? Or you going to do what the dude with the $38 million check going to do? Right? Now, we know that if we operating in the spirit, we know I'm supposed to go with my people. But they not operating in the spirit. They not. These so-called black people that you electing, they in another world now. You done lost them. Look, as a congressman, you get a guaranteed check for the rest of your life. I'm not mistaken. You get a guaranteed check for the rest of your life. Then on top of that check, any endorsements you get, and on top of that, any speaking engagements you get, and on top of that, the books you writing, and on top of that, whatever money they slide to you under the table. Ain't no way a vote about to change my mind. And then when it's time to campaign, I'm going to do some nice things. I'm going to do some cool things for a little bit. And then after I do them cool things, it's time to get back on my square so I can get my bread again for the next couple of years. It's time for election.
Yo,
right? Look at this. She said, Malcolm left an inheritance. Martin was how a lot of our family members leave us before they pass. You see that?
That's deep.
And he's the most popular civil rights leader in American history. Now, this ain't to step on his legacy because I would never do that. Me personally, I'm one of them Israelites, bro. I'm looking at all the cats who put their neck on the line. I'm looking at all of them like, yo, that's I ain't got nothing bad to say about nothing bad to say about granddaddy. Like, I get it. But at the same time, we have to call a spade a spade.
Facts.
We got to call a spade, man. Brother was out here, you know what I'm saying, doing things that we would have had to bring the brother to counsel for, bro. Like, and people knew that, and they let him get in their pulpit and teach a lesson because it was him.
Mm-hmm.
So, only thing I'm bringing all this out to say is that if you trace back the money, you're going to know who's really in control.
Right.
You trace back that money, you're never going to be wrong. And guess your money is not at the top. And one of the organizations that I'm very interested is not on this list is AIPAC. You know who AIPAC is?
Mm-mm.
Hold on real quick. AIPAC lobbying. Hold on real quick. This ain't right.
If they ain't on the list,
look
how much money they got.
Oh yeah. I mean, at this point, they don't need to be on the list because they got a country.
Come on, man.
Silly me for thinking they need to be on the list. Watch this. I want you to go to look up AIPAC real quick. AIPAC, and pull that up on the screen for the people, man. We're gonna hit y'all with this and we're gonna get up out of here. This is the number one proof, in case you was searching for it throughout this whole video. This is the number one proof why your vote don't matter. Especially if your vote is against the state of Israel. If your vote is against the state of Israel, the people who the United States government has pledged billions of dollars over the next 10 years, then you just throwing away a vote. And you wasted 45 minutes standing in line. Right? We're gonna show you.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Right? Okay. Now, notice they don't have many lobbying dollars. very interesting how this works. And I'm gonna say something, and we're gonna drop the mic. They don't have to have a lot of lobbying dollars because the United. Now, hold on. What is that estimate as of what? What's that number say? I can't see it on my screen. My fault.
What the contributions?
Oh, okay. I thought that was saying estimates as of 2024.
Oh yeah, do say 2023 and 2024.
Okay, so very modest numbers, right? But AIPAC doesn't need to lobby in Washington to have their political agendas pushed by the United States government. Why is that? Because Jewish people already have positions of power in the United States government. They don't have to throw money. You don't have to throw money when you print it. Listen, United States Foreign Committee on Foreign Affairs is sending billions of dollars over to Israel every year. We paying them. They not paying the government. They not lobbying. The United States is lobbying with them. That's what I'm saying. So we got to understand, like, when you look at this political game, trace the money back, understand, like, if the world telling you the United States is the most powerful country in the world, when the last time you seen the bully give anybody money? When the last time you seen the bully give anybody some money? Right? We're going to leave it on that. So I appreciate y'all for joining tonight. If y'all need some more ammo to get at these people who believe in this American political system, let us know, man. We'll come back up here and do a part 2. All praise to the Most High. Hey, let's hit them with that Daniel 7:18, man, unless you got something else.
I got to preach that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 12 and verse 4. It says, how long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of every field wither? For the wickedness of them that dwell therein. The beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they said, he shall not see our last end. Like, man, the world that we live in is jacked up. For real. And I know everybody, we all say we waiting on we can't wait for Yahushua to come back. But at the same time, like, you gotta ask yourself, are you really ready for that?
Right.
Are you even ready for what's going on right now? Because the stuff that's going on right now, it's like we can't be ready. Because exactly what Adam was talking about, as far as like us coming together as an organization, we should have been did that.
Right.
When this thing started back in the 60s or whenever, you know what I'm saying? We should be past that by now.
Right.
We should have our own island.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Country, something.
Facts.
You know? But
hey, out of all the people that was colonized, man, we the only people that never wanted independence. We don't want no form of independence. Everybody else got their land. Everybody else got a language. Everybody else at least got a president that rule over them.
Mm-hmm.
We just sitting over here happy to vote for Biden. So anyway. Hey, let's hit them with that Daniel, man.
Book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. By Hashem HaMashiach Yahushua.
By Hashem HaMashiach Yahushua. Hey, we love y'all. Y'all tune in. Day of Atonement starting tomorrow at sundown. Make sure you eat good tomorrow. Get a lot of water. Get some fruit. Drink a smoothie or something. You know, y'all brothers be eating burgers. I know y'all do.
Right.
But, eat right coming into atonement. All right.
All right.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black